abusua da so Sampson joy news fa no so abusua nra nenye easy kura na team no na ano Dennis Miracle amwaje ene Inusah Feseinu na abusua komo twetwe na chiro na abusua nenye easy kura nsese no Ghana fa media na so ankofo adwa papa even from the side of the NDC say the way even with the fa abronye issue na with the way as I say NDC are buying in the last 8 months almost see a useful statement, some criticisms from the opposition side to just persecute them, put them behind bars for some few days, no charges, it's getting out of hands, and that was what went on. I knew say Feseinu, former MP for Tamale Abusia, and then or since Ghana has a mobile quite by media and so to say just the likes of Okatache Free Money, Abronye DC Mo, those online platforms now or social media opportunity to just talk about political national issues, or say there should be a strict regulations because some of most of them realize today. I am very surprised that the NDC in power are talking about using the media, using online programs, podcasts, and other shows, even media, just a radio, television program show. So, some of the last 8 years, and it's quite surprising. Said they are now asking for a strict regulation about that part, media's part, say question freedom of speech, moka akoya kokansha no na ankoya abedra for down say masa Dennis Miracle just no masa trust na yen chira di wom na busia na it was not easy cry we tona we are to we na you will be the judge of the SSR and some way let's say me and Brenia could the submission from both parties. We are watching our comment session.
In or around the year 2020, we met and looked at the cybersecurity zone, and we looked at the activities that were coming out, new media, and how that could challenge the traditional notions of responsibility. And so how do you deal with people who exploit the opportunities granted them in the new media, malign, use hate speech, and all those things which really, if it were in the traditional media, you'll be able to hold them responsible. So now, and this debate is not only limited to Ghana. Recently, the United Kingdom, there was talk about a trolling of a footballer who had missed a penalty, and the footballer almost nearly committed suicide. He said that he won't take future penalties, and the discussion was that, well, so if it's the social media that is being used to troll the player, who has the responsibility to ensure that that doesn't happen? There was some consensus, unanimity, that those who own the platform, they should have that responsibility, and that they need to develop regulations to ensure that people don't misuse that platform. Yeah. The same thing. I mean, Sampson, I heard you complaining one day when after your distance, somebody wrote something that was totally not correct. Totally. But he had already published that. You wouldn't reach, you only exercise your right to to counter what he has said. But probably many people who read what he wrote and not reading what you subsequently wrote will walk away with those notions about you, which were totally untrue. I mean, and sometimes I sit on this platform and say things, and I go and read things that somebody has written, and you want to check the byline. Who is that person? The Marvelous TV. Who is that Marvelous TV? Who is that? Who is behind it? And totally different. Totally different. That's what Donald Trump calls fake news. How do we deal with fake news? So what the president is saying, and I mean, let me back roll small. I mean, you remember Rwanda? Rwanda was even the use of a traditional media. Somebody went and sat on radio and called a group of people cockroaches. And what do you do with cockroaches? You exterminate them. And so many of those guys Many of the Hutus were killed. That was irresponsible for somebody to do that, to use public media to do such a thing. It's the same thing. We need to find a way to balance the need for people to exercise their right to speech, freedom of speech, as captured in chapter 5 of the Constitution, and also balance that with the requirements of responsibility, taking responsibility for what a person has said and holding people accountable for what they have said.
George has been talking about a law that is being made in this regard. We don't know about it yet, so we don't know what is contained in there. I don't know what you know, that like elsewhere, the way they are doing it, it is the owner of the platforms that they are punishing for these hate speeches. Is that what we are seeking to do? Because I know also that in our national security strategy document, hate speech has been flagged as a national security issue.
Yes. And not only in Ghana, everywhere, hate speech. And you know, that can be really, really debilitating. I mean, that can be sapping. I mean, if somebody says something about you, and I experienced that at first hand when I said something about, I mean, and the way I was attacked, regardless of what I meant, clearly undermines the freedom of expression. And so the people who say those things must be held responsible. Now, how Sam George is conceiving that, I don't yet know. But what I can tell you is that when the draft of the law is finally made available, all of us will input and ensure that we deal with this emerging phenomenon. Nobody should have the right to sit in the corner of his room and create content meant for public consumption without any iota of responsibility. People must have responsibility. They must be responsible for what they have said. We must be able to hold them. If you want to create a civilized, sane society, people should be responsible.
But how do you marry that with our constitutional dispensation of the freedom guaranteed to speak your mind?
Within the limits of the law. The constitutional guarantee says within the limits of the law. I mean, you've forgotten that caveat at the end of chapter 5. Within the limits of the law.
Even in chapter 6, it's before the law. That is disturbing.
It says in practice.
It's in practice. It's not, it didn't say
That is
the
the effect of it. The law and the courts is where we can practice that which we are entitled to. That is it. The courts bring finality to what we can access and not access. So if we can go to the court and the courts think that we are all not equal before the law, how do I ever get this constitutional right of mine ever enforced? Where is my hope? We have opened the door to political and elitism abuse. So if you do not have power, you don't count. But this is not the country we sought to build. That the Constitution clearly states from its start, it is we, the people. For God's sake, that judge and the judicial system must take a proper review of his conduct. I don't know the man. I have no personal problem with anybody. You may have legal reasons why you don't think Abonye should have bail. You understand? For example, the argument about flight risk, he has created a legitimacy for it himself. But to pass such comments which are referable, this is judgment. They cannot be the path of our democracy. It can't be the path of our constitutionalism, and it must be condemned by every sound, legal, democratic mind, constitutional mind, legal mind. And I think the Chief Justice should take a particular interest in this matter and review this action. If there's a misconduct on his part, action should be taken. If there's a technical inappropriateness in it, it must be revised. We can't have this sitting anywhere in our judgment, because judgments equally become part of our law. Please.
These rulings at the lower court, they don't become part of our law.
So it's
we need to separate
from
them.
the High Court.
They don't become part of our law.
So when does it become part of our law?
Well, this is a lower court, so it's not referable for any use in any court.
But we can't have some. And you should remember, this is somebody who is supposed to go to the High Court. True or false?
We understand
No, am I
that.
right?
We understand that he applied
Yes.
for promotion because he's qualified to go to the next stage, which is the High Court.
Yes.
And that he has gone through the processes, has been vetted, and is part of a short list of about 12 who will soon
Go to the High Court,
receive their promotion.
to the Superior Court. Can you imagine what was going to happen there if there's orientation of the person going there?
You disagree with his orientation? Yes.
Do you agree?
Inusah Feseinu.
You say,